Question about the debt deal. You've talked before about raising the reserve funds, raising the amount that's put in the reserve funds. How do you do that with all the budget squeezes that we're going to face in light of fewer dollars coming from Washington? Isn't that going to just sort of exasperate our own funding situation if you're putting money, setting aside money into a reserve?
You know, my judgment is that whether you have a Republican governor or Democratic governor, this is what we have shared in common. Don't spend money you don't have. Manage the state's finances as if they were your own, with a prudent and cautious approach to spending. The reason that Vermont isn't Washington right now is because we have done just that. We haven't spent more money than we take in. When we have, we've corrected it, as we did in last year's budget, where we just balanced the budget the hard way, $176 million shortfall by reducing expenses, not raising broad-based taxes. And most importantly, by ensuring that we have a great credit rating, that we don't borrow more money than we're able to repay, or that would be prudent. The good news about the developments in Washington are that, I do think we should find some good news in it, that based upon our early understanding, it looks like the 2012 budget won't be as adversely impacted as some of us might have thought. Now, we're not sure about that, but it looks that way. Number two, if the last few years of recession taught us anything, it is that a 5% reserve is inadequate to get us through tough times. So I'm convinced that when we present our 2013 budget, you'll see us continue to be very cautious about spending, reducing rates of growth, and although we'll be in better shape because we made the tough choices that we made last year, we still have to be extraordinarily prudent. And a prudent thing to do would be to take any extra money and raise our reserves from 5 to 8% to protect Vermont against future recessions and future tough times.
You say, if we've learned anything that said 5% isn't enough, you haven't used any of it, so how could it not have been enough?
Because it wasn't.
What do you mean?
5%.
You didn't use any, but you didn't actually use the reserve, so how could it not have been enough? Apparently, zero would have been enough for what you did.
Well, no, we actually used the reserves. We used them as a way to balance our cash flow for the state of Vermont.
Right, but not to...
The point is, we learned very quickly that when you get into a tough recession, you face budget shortfalls that can be $200, $300, $400 million, which is what we've been dealing with over the last 4 or 5 years now, 3 or 4 years. And it's clear that a $70 million, $60 million 5% reserve wasn't enough to be helpful, so we didn't use it. We kept it there. And I would like to see us build those reserves to protect us against future downturns.
So what's the total amount that from 5 to 8?
Well, it's roughly $100 million.
One budget issue you sort of named as a way to cut costs is within Department of Corrections, and last week the Committee on Administrative Rules approved a rule that would allow offenders to be released on reentry furlough significantly earlier than previously, certain non-violent offenders. And I was wondering, with the money that frees up, are you planning on investing in reentry programs such as the one being planned in Barrie right now, or what's the plan for that DOC money?
As you know, we have waged the war on recidivism so that we put an end to the cycle where corrections spending is doubling every 10 years, and where we're seeing just high rates of people, non-violent offenders, returning to the corrections system within 3 years. A few things that we're doing that are worth knowing about. First is we're looking at all the programs that exist, small or large, figuring out what's working, what's not working, and we're going to come back with a comprehensive recommendation about how we can best spend the few dollars that we have to win the war on recidivism. Second, we do believe that we need to invest more money in housing on-the-job training in mental health counseling, drug and alcohol counseling, and in all the community-based programs that help us actually reduce the return to prison and turn this challenge, an addiction, a disease, into a positive outcome for the people that are struggling.
So when is that report expected?
It'll be part of our 2013 budget recommendation.
Okay.
Governor, it seems you're leading in re-election. 45% of voters approve of you. Could I just get some reaction to that news, please?
You know, whatever you say, I was dealt a plate full of problems. I have the shortest term, along with my friend Governor John Lynch of New Hampshire, to deliver on my promise of creating jobs and economic opportunities for Vermonters, putting us in a better place than when I took over. And that's what I'm working on every single day, and I don't pay any attention to polls.
Has your campaign done any polling since you've been sworn into office?
Absolutely not. There is no campaign, as I've mentioned to you before.
So who would you rather run against, Brian Doobie or Tom Salmon?
Again, a year from Labor Day, I'd be happy to talk about a campaign if there's going to be one. We'll keep you in suspense till then, but I'm going to focus 24/7 on getting this job done. Vermonters are feeling a little bit better than they were 7 months ago when we took over, but they still have lots of problems, and that's really what I'm focused on.
Talk about the FAA dispute for a minute. Are some of our smaller airports at risk, in your view, here from this impasse that now Congress has gone on vacation and it's unresolved?
Well, I think it's too bad that Congress left this issue unresolved, to be candid, because it's going to have an impact on jobs, it has an impact on construction jobs as we're doing improvements to airports. We haven't determined whether it affects Vermont. We don't believe it does at this point, but my Secretary of Administration can correct me if I'm wrong. Right. So we think we're okay, but the fact of the matter remains, it's fine to have disagreement. It's not okay to be disagreeable in public service. And what I'm so proud to be your governor is that while we might see things differently in Vermont, among parties, we sit down, we hammer it out, we get the job done, and we get results. I think it's unfortunate that Congress went home on vacation without resolving this important question.
Would this, you obviously didn't get a vote on it, but was...
I wouldn't even go to Dominica before dealing with this question.
Was the compromise on the debt ceiling worth it, considering the potential cuts and the fact that long-term, many of the problems weren't addressed? We've even got a key federal agency unfunded.
You know, I suspect that I feel like a lot of Vermonters, frankly, like our congressional delegation, is a little divided on this one. The notion of not dealing with the debt ceiling was unthinkable and unspeakable for all of our finances. They had to deal with it. The way that they dealt with it obviously leaves plenty for all of us to desire, no matter what your political perspective is. And, you know, I think Senator Sanders and Senator Leahy and Congressman Welch are the best congressional delegation in the country. And, they made the best judgments they could of how to vote. I'm not going to second guess them.
What's the most important question that you're asking each of the reform board candidates in your interviews with them?
I think the most important question is, do you have the skills to design the first healthcare cost containment system in America that works? And it's never been done before. Hugely ambitious undertaking with high expectations and high hopes. Failure is a real challenge for us. So I need really smart people who feel that they can do something that hasn't been done and know enough about the system, business, economics, consumer, being without health care to get it done. You know, going back to John's question a second ago, you know, if you had adopted all of the cost-cutting ideas of the Tea Party Republicans in Congress, every single one, and you had adopted all of the revenue ideas of the U.S. Senator or President Obama, most of which I agree with, and put them all into place, guess what? You still wouldn't to solve the problem. Because the cost of health care in America to both middle-class Americans, businesses, and the U.S. government and state governments is rising so fast that it would wipe out any of the gains that they would have made within 3 or 4 years from an economic standpoint. So if we are the first state in the country that gets this one right, that spends less on health care for better outcomes, healthier population, where everybody's covered, where health care is a right and not a privilege, where it follows the individual and isn't required by the employer, we win big time. So what I'm going to say to the board members is, listen, this is no unambitious mission that we're setting on. Do you have the smarts to do it?
How many names have been forwarded to you by the nominating committee?
I can't remember exactly.
Ballpark?
How many?
22.
22.
And how many have you sat down with so far?
One. But I'm doing more today, and I'll keep hammering through it. This is really an important judgment that I'm going to make. And I'm really grateful to the nominating committee for sending me so many qualified people. And I'll be honest with you, I'm sitting there with embarrassment of riches.
Be the end of the month.
As soon as possible, but obviously meeting 22 people in my schedule will take some time. So.
Could you talk about adult protective services? Apparently the backlog of elderly abuse, neglect, and financial exploitation has bounced back up. And they're trying to figure out how to deal with it and why. And I wondered if you could give us your perspective on that particular situation.
It's a little premature for me to give you my perspective in terms of what the problem is. I can tell you what the challenge is. These are among our most vulnerable citizens. When the economy goes into a tailspin, it's the most vulnerable that get hit first. And these are elderly seniors and individuals who desperately need services, who are feeling tremendous economic pain. And with that comes strain in family, strain in living conditions, strain on almost everything. So the question for Secretary Racine and others is, how do we fix the problem? And they're focused on that, as am I, and we want to make sure that we're the best state in the country to grow older, and the best state in the country to be taken care of when you're vulnerable. So we don't have the answers yet, but we're all over it.
Would you be prepared to spend more money to solve the problem, to invest in more manpower and in woman power?
We're not satisfied. It's not acceptable for the numbers to be rising in terms of stress and abuse. And we're going to do what it takes to try and bend the curve. And sometimes we forget in these discussions that we're talking about individuals. We're talking about vulnerable people. And we want to be there for them. We're not happy with the current status quo.
How come when you write to Entergy, you refer to them as Entergy Nuclear Vermont Yankee, and when you write about them to us, you refer to them as Entergy Louisiana?
Must have been a typo.
You got is it something against Louisiana?
No, it's just, I remember when I went down to the, one of those conferences they sent us to, I guess, Senate leaders, I was Senate president. I got down there, my phone kept ringing because the people who own our nuclear power plant, Louisiana, were really anxious to meet with me. I was in town. So all I can tell you is that our nuclear power plant is owned by Entergy Louisiana. If that's a news to you, suggest you get a new job.
But you don't say Green Mountain Power Montreal.
I'd be happy to if you want.
But you don't
They've been
take
very-
that.
I think, you raise an important point. We have had experience with out-of-state ownership. Gas Metro, which owns Green Mountain Power and Vermont Gas, has been an extraordinary corporate partner for Vermont for many, many years. They have done as well as any Vermont corporation would do. They do business like we do business in Vermont. Entergy Louisiana doesn't.
Can you talk a little bit about the other kinds of drugs, the opiates and the death in Dummerston, and
obviously, the tragedy in Dummerston is another example of the challenges that we're facing with drug and alcohol addiction in Vermont. And, you know, I look at this historically in terms of where we are. That's crack cocaine appears to be, or is alleged to have been, the culprit in that particular death, murder. But we know that the challenges that we're facing as a state with drug addiction are threatening life as we know it as Vermonters. Strong communities, people who take care of us, and the safest state in the nation to live, work, and raise a family. And so anything and everything that we can do to eradicate drugs from Vermont is great news for our future. The notion that, you know, a body would show up on East West Road in Dummerston, Vermont, is pretty unthinkable. It's unspeakably horrid. That's what drugs do. Well, on that cheery note, thank you.